The University of Manitoba campuses and research spaces are located on original lands of Anishinaabe, Ininiwak, Anishinaabe, Dakota Oyati, Dene, and Inuit, and on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. U of M recognizes that the treaties signed on these lands are a lifelong, enduring relationship, and we are dedicated to upholding their spirit and intent.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Media Lab podcast. In this series, Beyond the Prompt, as you know, we're exploring the promises and pitfalls of generative AI in education, especially at university level, but also kind of education, all across the board, in all areas of life, really. With today's guest, we're going to explore this topic from a perspective of the body, movement, and discipline. My guest today is Rebecca Lewis, a former professional ballet dancer and now a very popular Pilates instructor here in Winnipeg. Welcome, Rebecca. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
Amazing. So I take your Pilates classes. That's how we know each other, basically. Were you surprised when I approached you with this invitation?
Yes, very much so. I thought it was a really cool topic, but I think, I said this along the same lines of, I think that's really cool, but I don't know if I'm your person.
Well, you said that right away. You were kind of like, oh, are you sure? But then I saw your wheels starting to turn right away. Yeah. I saw your you started to already think about, actually, I could say this, I could say that. I was like, okay, no, you are the right person. Because as you know, we've discussed this a little bit, even though this is on topic of AI and it's a more kind of technologically, minded podcast, everything technological has all sorts of connections to the body, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of education, what kind of strikes me about how you're instructing the classes, right, the Pilates classes, is that they feel very holistic, right? So you don't just you're not just this kind of mechanical instructor who's just I think it's called isolated workouts or
really?
I think there's a term.
Yeah.
It's basically I used to go to the gym and it's just from this exercise to this exercise, the glutes, the this, the that.
Yes.
But with your instructing, it kind of feels like there's a purpose to it, there's a flow to it. It kind of gives the sense of connectivity, progress, and you also give us really great explanations for everything. So that actually the workout is also kind of intellectual at the same time as well. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, when I heard that you used to be a ballet dancer, you danced for Royal Winnipeg Ballet, right?
Sorry. I was in the aspirant program, and I did dance with them in productions, but I wasn't in their company. So I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah. But I've trained with them and I have performed with them. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. I understand the difference, but regardless, for people to know that you were a professional ballet dancer, right?
Right.
And I was just thinking how to prepare for a production, right? You have to kind of be aware of all the other pieces in the performance, right? It's not just your own performance that you're focusing on, your own moves, but you have to be aware of other dancers, other roles, even the musicians, the costumes, all of that kind of fits together. So it has this kind of more holistic feel to it. Mm-hmm. So how has dance shaped the way you teach and learn? After all, nowadays.
It's heavily influenced how I learn and teach, I'd say. Like you were saying, in your own dance performance, you're focusing on so many things. There's so many years of crafting your art and perfecting your movement and constantly fine-tuning and, trying to progress and improve it over time. And so that's just on your own end. But then, as you say, when you're working with the corps de ballet, when you're working with other people, you have to be sure that you're not only aware of them, but you're working with them really well. And so that the whole picture looks cohesive and it doesn't seem like you're sticking out when you're not supposed to or whatever. And then, with all the costumes and the timing of the music and trying to add in all of those details, it's very detail oriented and it's very high paced, meaning that you have to be able to adapt and learn and change quickly. You have to be able to be spontaneous. If someone falls down, then you have to kind of cover that and it's okay. And you kind of keep the show moving and flowing. But again, like all of that learning, I find like has helped me so much in my work, because it's important to know how the movement feels. So then you can then convey that to the people you're teaching to know and be able to explain, okay, well, this is how it feels in my body. Do you feel that? How does that work for you? And then just being able to retain the repertoire, the exercises, and being able to be more familiar with them and be able to remember the breath sequences that go with that and why we're using this exercise for what part of the body and all of that. And then, like I said earlier, like the detail work of being able to see small details in clients' form. So being able to see, okay, well, this is a little out of line. So, okay, if we shift this over, it'll be better. And okay, now that we've done that, do you feel the difference? And just being able to perfect the movements and help them improve. So it's heavily influenced my life. So yeah.
So this improvisation, that seems to be a huge component of your classes. And this usually looks like someone, mentions that they have sore shoulders. That's usually me. Like
It's okay. We all have things.
Every class. And then suddenly the workout shifts to address that. And it feels very natural. It doesn't feel like, a sudden change of direction or anything like that. So as you said, like flexibility, spontaneity are very important, right?
Very.
Would you say that, how intuitive do you think that is for you? Is it like more intellectual or more intuitive? So as you said, you have to pay attention to all these different things, right?
Yeah.
But I feel something about it is kind of almost like subconscious. That it's not like, obviously you don't enter this data in your mind the whole time, right? I don't know. Can you say something about that?
Sure. Yeah. It's not like I'm flipping into being a robot suddenly and then computing, okay, what's next and whatever, I think, such a big part of it is being familiar with a repertoire. And I think that's true for any job, any career, is like you have to know your material. And if you're not familiar with it, or if it's foreign to your own body or anything, then it's hard to be spontaneous when you're not aware, when you're not in tune with that. Whereas the more you know and the more knowledge you gain from practicing, from working with people, from doing it yourself, then you're able to be more spontaneous. You're able to be more intuitive because you've gained that knowledge and that experience over time. So it's I wouldn't say that I was always that way in my early days. I always came with a notebook and a set class plan and everything. And I didn't pivot very much because I didn't know how yet. And so that has grown. That's a muscle that you can build over time. It's a skill that can be built once you gain more knowledge and familiarity with your work. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way entering classroom. I was always felt underprepared.
Right.
And now I'm like, okay, I got this. So there's definitely something about, I feel all the practice and all the kind of concrete steps that you have to take, I feel they develop your intuition in a different way. Yes. Like just going through that, like just having the practical steps, down, you're like, okay, I have all this out. I'm ready.
Yes.
You can open yourself more for kind of like being more creative, I feel. And it definitely comes through, in your, as you know, like in your classes. So speaking of this intuitive teaching, could you imagine using AI, because this is a podcast about AI, and I was like thinking, AI and body, like this is such an interesting kind of topic. And even like AI and health, right? Nowadays, right? Yeah. So could you imagine using AI in your own teaching? If you had an app that analyzed clients' movements and abilities and then suggested corrections and like different exercises, do you think, or do you maybe even use AI already to do your programming? Do you think, but like if you do or not, like you'll tell us, but like, do you think if you're not using it, do you think it would be helpful to maybe use it, or do you think it would be distracting to you?
I think it depends on how you use it and where, in what context. So I'd say the first step I would take, I don't currently do this, but I can see it being a helpful tool. So if I'm outside of the class, if I'm on my own time, I might say develop a program for a client and just kind of have my own write-up. And then I might enter in that client's same specs, their modifications needed and their details and things, and see what AI generates, and then compare the two. And then just kind of use that as a tool, kind of as a springboard to think more broadly and creatively. And so maybe AI would suggest a sequence or an exercise in a place that I wouldn't have put it before. And then it can make me think, oh, well, that would be interesting. And you could just kind of, kind of expands your way of thinking a little bit more. So I would use it more in that context. Whereas other technology in analyzing movement, I feel like in a group class that would maybe be overwhelming, but just because it's unfamiliar to me, I think over time, like anything, we can learn it, we can do it. But in a private setting, if I'm just working one-on-one with someone, I can see how, we've developed a program, we're working on it. Okay, now this is going to scan your movement and see what's out of whack. So I think, again, that can be really helpful, especially if you're a new instructor, if you're a new trainer and you're not as familiar with body mechanics and kind of seeing those details, if that's not your natural skill set. So it can really help to develop that along the way. It can be a helpful thing to be like, oh, right, I didn't see that before. That is really interesting to note that their ankle's doing that thing and whatever. And then as the in-person instructor, then I can help them to apply those corrections more successfully. So I think definitely AI could be a really cool tool. I don't know that I'd want to just sit back and just let it do everything. So
Well, I think something you said is very important here, right? So you said you would, you could devise a program or maybe get some ideas or maybe get some information from AI that you didn't think of it before, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you missed something or it gave you a suggestion and you're like, okay, this is interesting. Maybe I'll pay attention to this, right? Mm-hmm. But this all comes from the fact that you already have all this knowledge, that you already are an expert, that you already can recognize that the output is good or bad, right? Or that the output makes sense or doesn't make sense, right? How do we get students to understand that learning is a process and that the process is actually the most important part of it? Right. The struggle, the struggle of going through the process, right? Because I feel nowadays, and you're a parent as well, right? I'm a parent, and definitely kids have a lot more expectations of instant gratification. Yes. And we struggle with that a lot. Yes. And it's like, oh my God, how do I, and not only with little kids, because we have little kids, but I see with students, right? And it's like, how do we find a shortcut that's going to give us instant result? Right. And I feel that there is a value in that in some way, but when you push it too far, then maybe you get too reliant on these technologies and kind of forget how much kind of work and suffering and discipline is involved in
getting that result.
Yes. Yeah. Getting that result. I mean, I don't know, this wasn't really, was this a question? I was kind of rambling on for a while. But
I think that's valid, though. I think it can be definitely a struggle with little kids because they're just, it's all new. And then when you set that bar of instant gratification, then that's the expectation that it's always going to be that way, right? Mm. And so I think at any age, it's important to tie in kind of what we're talking about with the body, understand that there are certain things that just take time. So if you want to build strength in your upper body, if you want to build your biceps, that's going to take time. You can't just do 10 reps one day and then expect you to be Superman or anything. There are certain things that undeniably take time.
No. I was hoping this is why you were invited to tell me.
These were the secrets you wanted.
Yes.
No. So no, it's one of those there's just certain things. And cooking food, yes, we have developed ways, there's Instapot, there's whatever, there's different things that have sped things up to a certain degree. But if you're going to cook a meal from scratch, that takes time rather than just popping something in the microwave. You get different quality, you get different, I don't know, you just get different results when things take time. And to me, that's very gratifying to recognize that. So tying that into AI and tools, I think it can be such a valuable tool when we use it appropriately and when we are wanting to learn, not to become reliant or to use it to like social media and like clickbait and, you know, all that. Like that's where we get that instant gratification. So trying to separate and draw boundaries for ourselves to ground ourselves in reality and not just give in to that instant gratification loop that we're in. So yeah, no, it's, I think it can be used as a really good tool. So like for research and that kind of thing, like I don't want it to sound like, well, like I went through all of this, so that you have to go through that. Like,
Right.
no, it's like that can be a waste of time in a way, right? Like we have access to these tools, we have access to this knowledge. So why not use it? But use it to move forward, not to just sit in comfort and go, oh, well, it's already done for me. I don't have to do anything more. No, use it and then move forward with it. So if someone else went through all of this, now take that information and then make your own journey, make your own research, make your own path of some struggle to get a new result that someone else can then move forward with. So think back to like the calculator when we first had the calculator, right? Like they didn't want to use that in schools because we were afraid that we wouldn't be able to do long form math anymore, right? So
Exactly.
It's like, okay, well, like to a certain extent, yes. Like we do need to know how to do these things. It's important to know and have that baseline of learning. But in a way, we're wasting our time then if we're not utilizing these tools. So if I'm going to spend an hour doing this equation when I could have done it in 5 minutes, what else could I have done in that hour to move forward with the same sum? What could I have done with that information to move further forward, to move the needle even more? So I think that's where we can use AI as a really good tool, but not become reliant on it, is to continue to seek out more learning and seek after the next thing.
Definitely. Definitely, yeah. This struggle, I see a lot of students nowadays struggle with mental and physical health, and I think the two are kind of connected.
I think so.
And I think this reliance on technology and basically pursuing of comfort above everything else, right?
Yeah.
Is a huge factor in this. Do you have, like, just from your perspective, how essential is physical health for intellectual and creative work? And maybe you even have some personal experience you'd like to share.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's crucial, to be honest. I think physical and mental health are crucial in order for us to excel intellectually. I think everyone has a different gauge with that. Some may have a higher capacity versus others, and that's going to be unique to each person. But if you think of it like a car, if you don't do the maintenance on your vehicle, then eventually it's going to break down and it won't function as it should. So it's the same with our bodies. If we don't care for the body, then the brain can't function optimally. If we're feeding the brain, then the body will want to do more. They're very hand in hand there, where if you're taking care of one, then the other will be better too. And so I think everyone has their own capacity, and some might think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Like, look at me, I'm still getting the highest grade in the class and I'm barely putting it. Okay, well, what could you do if you did put in the effort? How much better could you be? Like, why settle for suboptimal when you know you could be more optimal? So.
There's many reasons why, Rebecca.
Don't do it.
I go, why would you settle for less? Hear that?
When it's comfy, when it's comfortable, and I don't have to. But
wouldn't you agree that actually comfort becomes uncomfortable if it's too much of it?
Oh yes, yeah, it becomes out of balance.
That's what I noticed. Like, the more you want to be comfortable, the more it becomes uncomfortable, and I feel that like some of this mental struggles and physical illnesses kind of directly related to that. Is your situation becoming more and more uncomfortable and you kind of don't notice it for a long time until it's really acute?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. No, I can. So as for my own experience, like just this past summer, to be honest, like it was summer break and my kids are home. And so I was like, okay, we're just going to dive in. I'm just going to spend more time with them and just be really present and everything. Those are good things. That's a good thing to do. But I let my own, health routines and things kind of slip. I wasn't eating as well as I normally did and things. And a gradual decline over the summer where eventually felt like crap. And I'm like, oh. And so I think I even mentioned in class, like, I'm really excited for the school year so I can get back to my routines. And I can do that anytime, but anyway, so it's like I try to give myself permission to enjoy the summer and just lean in and do good things, but it was out of balance for me, and it didn't serve me very well or my kids, because then I was a grumpy grouch and I wasn't feeling as great. And so whereas now that we've been back into our routine, the kids are back in school and I have that dedicated time that I'm doing every day. I'm doing my own self-discipline. I'm eating better. I feel so much better, and I feel like I can serve them better, and I can be the person that I want to be. I feel it's just better. And I didn't realize it until I changed. And then it was way more apparent just how bad it had gotten. And so, yeah, it's really interesting how we don't notice. It's such a slippery slope.
Such a slippery slope. You're originally American, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What's your opinion of North American food trends? Because I'm European, as I'm sure we've discussed this, but I'm appalled by even like how our students here eat, and even the catering that we're ordering for some events. And so I'm like, oh no, how can anyone's brain like work on this crap?
I know. No, it's true. And again, like it's such a it's such a tangled web to unravel. But like, right, with all the like money and politics and things that go into that, it's very layered. And then you just get accustomed to it. Like with my own experience, like in the summer, I'm like, oh no, this is fine. I'm good. This is fine. And it's really not fine. And then you don't realize how unfine it is until you change it and then go, oh, I was really not okay. So it definitely plays a huge part in our health and wellness is what we're taking into our bodies. Our bodies are built from that. So if we're feeding it crap, we're going to feel like crap. So.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming, Rebecca. This is all I wanted for you. Everybody, coming from the experts, what you eat matters. And if you want to increase your grades,
yes,
take care of your bodies.
Yes.
Eat well.
It's true.
Yeah.
It really does make a difference. Like, I'm joking, but it's so accurate. Like, I'll give you another personal experience just this past September. So when, back to school and everything, I wanted to take more control over my health and things, not only in my physical routines and exercise, but through my diet. And so I ended up doing Whole30 for this September. This is not sponsored by Whole30, but
yes.
But man, like, it was crazy. Again, like, I had some aches in my back, and like I just had so much brain fog. I felt like I couldn't really think and process. I'd get distracted easily, and like I just couldn't keep my thoughts together as well. And so I thought, okay, I'm done with this. Something's got to change. And so I've done other health food guidelines thing, but I would always give myself exceptions, like, oh, well, I'm not going to eliminate chocolate, heaven forbid. And then, I still want to keep this. And so I'd always make exceptions for myself. But this time I actually did the program as strict as it is. So it's basically an elimination diet. But anyway, it just eliminates a lot of commonly inflammatory foods and how that can affect your body. And I kid you not, it sounds like clickbait, but like within a week, my back pain was markedly reduced. Like, it had gotten so bad to the point where I would wake up with pain. I had slept and I'd wake up with pain, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, this has never happened. This is not okay. And then within a week, I could sleep better. My body could function better. And then it just got better and better throughout the month, where I had clearer thinking. I could focus better. And then, so for your students, again, like, it really does make a difference. It seems hard, and it is hard. It can be hard to kind of deny yourself of those fun little treats and things. And it's meant to be a short program, and then you can adapt throughout your life and everything. But it was incredibly helpful for my own body and for my own function. So yeah, can highly attest to feeding your body good things gives you a much better result.
Absolutely. Well, I have similar experience to yours. And in fact, when my student who did a podcast with me as a guest asked me what would I recommend to someone who wants to be a researcher, and my first thought was get healthy. Like I can't tell you what a difference it made. And the best advice I ever got was when I kind of hit a block in the road when I was doing a PhD, and I just couldn't write, just couldn't get myself to do it, just felt really kind of terrible, just kind of also mentally not well. You just kind of get into this rut. And my partner, who lived in Canada, so that was before I moved to Canada, we kind of had a long distance thing going for a while, but he said, you need to start going to the gym. And I was like, gym? Like, I mean, I've never done that before, you know, right. Like until I was like, at that point, I don't know, 28 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is also a thing that like when I was studying, we didn't like, I don't remember any of us like going to the gym, but we would spend a lot of time outside. A lot of walking, because we weren't like trapped in a campus. I mean, even though this campus is quite huge, so there's quite a bit of walking going on too. But we were like, our university was just like in the city, and so we would, you know, and even the restaurants where we could get meals were actually all over the city. Yeah, because it was just a different system. So we would just like walk everywhere, and I feel that kind of really helped. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, also you were young, but sure, that helps too. But then, yeah, when I hit that rut, and then Jonah said to me, "You need to start going to the gym," and I was like, well, "What's that gonna do?" And oh my god, like I just. The endurance became so much better. My brain fog like kind of went away. Like I was just able to like work longer, think clearer. Also, just got more motivated. Like just got like, you know, I was like motivated to go to work, and I didn't feel that kind of crippling anxiety that you sometimes feel when a huge project is in front of you, right? Yes. So writing a PhD is, you know, oh God, like, you know, how to start, where to start, and, you know, it's going to take forever. So it's like, yeah, going to the gym. And also another advice that I would give, even though I don't give advices because people usually don't take it, but
you should.
But another one would be do the hard thing first.
Yes.
Do the hard thing first, especially because like the worst idea is to get up in the morning and then like go on your phone and then like procrastinate for half a day. Yeah. And then by the time you know, get yourself to like study or do any kind of like, you know, any work that you need to do by that, or like even like going to the gym, or even like just doing something that you need to be motivated for, by then you're drained. Yes. You're drained from procrastination. That's the most draining activity on earth for me.
It's true. And then like, again, scrolling on your phone, that just changes your levels of dopamine, and that changes your expectation for the day as to what, you know, stimulation you're looking for. And then it's not enough. And it's like, you're just training your body for not success, the opposite of success. So it's like, So you mentioned the dopamine connection between devices and like our hormones, basically. What do you know about that? I'm no expert, but right. I'm very much an enthusiast. So I listen to other podcasts about this and stuff. And so I just glean more knowledge about health and wellness in general. But yeah, it's like if you start your day on your phone, then you're getting that clickbait. You're an addict, you're gambling from the start of your day. And then if you do that when you go to sleep too, like you're not able to go to sleep, you're messing up your melatonin levels and how your body is able to fall asleep. You're messing up your own patterns, basically. And so it's not a good habit for your body. And then, like you were saying, like procrastination is like the most draining thing. Well, you know, if you imagine, I'm just going to treat myself. I'm just going to lay in bed a little bit longer. You know, this is indulgent. This is a choice. It's fine. Well, then after you've done all that and your brain feels so heavy and drained and scattered from that kind of stimulation, then it's hard to then focus on the thing, and it just creates kind of a big bad wolf effect where it's like, oh no, it's going to be too hard to start. I won't even start. I'm not going to do it. And then you avoid it, which makes it worse. And whereas like if you're taking that time, instead of going on your phone, say if you delay that for the morning and then you go out, you take a walk, you get your body moving, you can, you know, even whether you listen to something or not, if you're just outside, not listening to something, then your brain can start to process things in a different way. Movement can help your brain process things more effectively. Did you ever watch The Big Bang Theory?
The show?
The show.
No, I'm not a fan. Tell me.
I was a big fan.
Okay.
But, anyway, so Sheldon, he's a
I know the
scientist and
character. I know the
researcher.
character. Yeah. Mhm.
And so there was a bit where he just got stuck. He got stuck in his research, and he just kept trying to go.
Yeah.
Go. So this is kind of the opposite end of what we were talking about. Like, we're talking about not being too sluggish and delaying and all that. He was doing the opposite, where he was not giving himself any breaks. And so then, because he was stuck in his research, he couldn't see it differently anymore. He started doing kind of more menial tasks and stuff, and just to kind of change up his brain perspective. And then it clicked, and he was able to get it. And so sometimes that's what movement can be for us. So it's crucial to our work, because then it just helps our brain to rewire and focus and change. And like, we're three-dimensional, like, we're whole people. It's not like we're not just a brain trying to function. We're not just one thing. It all has to work together for the whole picture to come together. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely, of course.
Yeah.
This idea of kind of giving too much of ourselves to our devices, and then how the physiological effects actually from those devices. I'm very interested in that as well.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, like, if you go out and at least move around a little bit. I feel nowadays when you go out, and I've noticed this, everybody's wearing earbuds.
Yes. Yeah.
And it feels like, everybody's like in their own world, and everybody's kind of like distracted from the movement.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is to kind of, I feel
Unplug.
to like unplug, but also like, when you go for a walk, to be present, how important it is, because I feel even when you like, you go and do the exercises and you do them in a really mindless way, and then like, you go for a walk, but you have to distract yourself with a podcast and oh my God, I am totally also guilty of doing that. Or even I was like thinking, every time I'm cleaning, I have to listen to something on my phone, like, because, oh God, it's so boring. But I feel like all of these things kind of disorient, plugged into something else, and some other information is coming in. I'm not paying attention to the information that's coming in into my body, and I feel like, maybe that has like then a different effect.
Right. I think you're probably right. Although I am also guilty of that. I habit stack, and we'll try to listen to podcasts when I can't, it's just from trying to fit in the things that you want to do in the day. Right. So I can understand that. But, so I think if you're doing something, say if you're just starting out and that's the only way that you can get yourself to get the movement in, where it's like, okay, I can only watch my favorite show if I'm on the treadmill watching it. Okay, sure, then do what you got to do. Like, it's fine. But it's true. I do think there's something to being disconnected from external stimuli, like just putting in music or, a podcast or whatever, taking in other information and just listening to the information that your body is signaling to you as you do the movement. So, and kind of to our discussion before about things that take time, things that are uncomfortable, things that bring you out of your comfort zone. That's an easy way to do it. So go for a walk and don't listen to something. Like,
digital detox.
For real though, or even just take intentional times in the day where it's like, okay, I'm going to take a walk every morning for 30 minutes and I'm not going to listen to anything. I'm just going to listen to the cars, the wind, the grass, whatever. Like, I'm just listen to the grass. Anyway, you're going to listen to the things around you and be present and really notice those things. And then it helps you to get kind of that slower serotonin release and that slower dopamine and all of that. So that helps to train your brain to suffer in the process a little bit, but in a good way. Suffer in the process, but like to endure those things and not to feel like it's a chore anymore, but that it can be pleasurable too, to, I get to have this time in nature. I get to listen to the wind in the trees. I get to see the sun shining today. I get to see the color of the grass. And, so it rewires your brain to notice those simple pleasures and not seek out the quick instant gratification ones. So I think it's very important to take mindful or be mindful in your movement. That's something that may have also drawn you to the method of Pilates that I teach is like we don't have music. Some people do, and that's, again, fine. It's sometimes it can enhance your movement. From dance, it totally enhances your movement in dance. So like, music can have its place. It's fine.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like, we don't have music in our classes so that you can listen to your body. You can really just feel it and just be present. And it's very meditative in that way, where it's like, okay, you can kind of shut off other things and just focus on you. This is your one task. It's just focus on you. And I think that's where it can really help with mental health too. Like, so if you don't want to sit and meditate and, sit with your eyes closed for 5 minutes or however long, like, that's another form of meditation, in my opinion, is to do the movement and just be fully present. And that can have great mental health benefits. So, yeah.
I agree. I very much enjoy the repetitions in Pilates, when it's like, okay, I have to do, 10 of these and 10 of these. And I just like, I know what I'm doing. And I know a lot of times I get very distracted.
No, you know what you're doing. You're good. Don't worry. You're good.
But I feel like it just feels so good to just kind of like know what I'm doing and just like kind of, get through it. Because in life, because I'm a writer and a professor and so on, and just in my job, I have to be like very creative. So it's almost like hard to kind of get out of that sometimes. It's almost like important to be like, okay, as you said, like, okay, I need a break now from this. Like, stop thinking about your job. Stop thinking about, who do you have to email tomorrow? Stop thinking what you're going to say and all those things. Like, just be in the present and like, do this. And then I feel like if the present becomes just painful enough, painful so that it's enjoyable, then it's like, okay, your focus has to be now on this, what's going on here, right?
Right, yeah. Why am I so uncomfortable? Why is this so hard? What's going on in my head that I'm trying to escape? What's happening here? So it's another way to get kind of creative and curious about your own body and where you are in your life. And, okay, why do I feel that way about this situation? And all of that, which is uncomfortable.
Exactly.
I don't always want to do that, but yeah. And then like you're saying, like, to get out and to be present and not to numb with technology and not to numb with easy technology tools and AI and all that. Like, that's where, to me, it can be really dangerous, is if we just choose, instead of using these tools for information, for community building and all of these other good benefits that technology and AI can have, just to use it to numb and to disconnect. I think that's where we become Wall-E. If we just choose that and don't choose learning and don't choose that anymore, right? So it's,
Yeah, I think, so this would be like a good transition to a question I wanted to ask you about, wearables. Because now we're talking about how, the technology can be numbing. It can be kind of, it can detach us from our bodies because of too much, because of relying on technology too much. We can kind of lose touch with how we actually feel.
Right.
What about so nowadays there's this trend with wearables, which means the AI devices that measure
like your
factors
heart rate.
Factors about your physical health.
Yeah.
So it's going to be some are like health heart rate, some are for sleep, even like menstrual cycle, I think is one. So do you use them?
Yep.
Okay, lovely. So tell me
about,
okay, so you do use them. Okay, so tell me about that.
I do. So I use them, have for years, can highly recommend. And actually, I was talking with a client about it like a week ago. So
nice. Okay, so tell me about it.
Again, not sponsored. But
yet.
but yeah, no, I think it can be a really useful tool when used appropriately. And every person is different in what they want. Like I have 3 sisters, and one of my sisters does not subscribe to this at all. She hates it. She's like, I don't want any other thing on me. I don't want to know. I don't want notifications coming in all the time. And I can understand that end of things. But anyway, she does not do the thing, and that's fine. But for myself, like I find I like the data. I like to know. I like to kind of have parameters. And so like when I was mentioning before about doing Whole30, I noticed I could track my sleep quality and how it improved as I did that. So I was like, oh, okay. So like, I think as long as it's not something that becomes obsessive and something like that can be its own mental health journey. It's becoming too obsessive about it or whatever. But it can be really good for if you want to set goals. Say if you want to do 10,000 steps a day, then okay, like that can help me kind of gauge where I'm at, right? Like there's a certain variability with the accuracy of all these devices, right? Some can be more or less accurate, but I think overall they're improving. So that gap is getting smaller and we're learning more and using the technology better. But yeah, so it can be really helpful to kind of gauge where you are in your goals. And then it can also kind of give that sense of accountability as well, where it's like, oh, crap, like I've only done 2,000 steps a day. I need to get out and I need to walk. So it's like, it can kind of jumpstart that a little bit more motivation. And then success too. Like if you see, oh, I closed my rings today, or oh, I burned this many calories or whatever. So it's like whatever you're interested in, then you can kind of monitor, okay, oh, this was actually how many hours of sleep I got. I thought I got more. And so it just gives some data, and some people don't want to know, but I want to know.
Well, yeah, because you have like a really kind of inquiring mind. So I could see how, like, I'm the same way. I love to see kind of like results in a concrete like data.
Yeah.
And actually, I started to think about these devices when I heard on a podcast someone say that they stopped drinking because they realized that every time, even if they had like one drink, their sleep score would be so much worse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, didn't you know that, like, you know, you just feel kind of not good. But right. I think just seeing that, like, because a lot of the times we think, oh, you know, everything in moderation. I hate that expression.
Oh, no.
Everything in moderation. No, but I mean, I'll tell you why. Because I feel North American moderation looks very different.
Yes. Yes.
than European moderation. So here is like, well, everything on moderation. I'll just have, you know, but it's like so common. Yeah. Then you'll have like a muffin for breakfast, and then you'll have a cookie for snack, and then you'll have and I'm like, but those are all desserts. Like, that's not
moderation.
That's not food. It's like, well, but it's a muffin. It's breakfast food. It's like it's breakfast food here. It's not supposed to, you know what I mean?
I know.
So I feel like this idea of moderation is a slippery slope, because it's like, I mean, even drinking, right? Drinking in moderation, but actually not even in moderation is good for it. Like, it's good to know that. It's good to just kind of be like, it's still possibly going to affect your health, right? In a negative way, because I feel like it can be, all of these things can be like a really very, very slippery slope, right?
Absolutely. Well, just like technology, right? Like,
exactly.
Like food can be a vice, just like your phone can be a vice, right? Like it's all of these things can become that if we let it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess the danger here is, or like our responsibility, not really is of, our generation, is to maybe kind of teach our kids how to handle it, right? How to like do it, quote unquote, in moderation without like getting obsessed with the wearable and like counting calories like crazy, because that's can become an unhealthy thing. But I feel like, every technology has this dangers.
It's true. It can be such a useful tool, but it also has its pitfalls just in how we use it. And that's ultimately up to us to choose or not choose that dangerous path or the good path, right? And so it's, there's so many different things with that. Yeah.
I once read, I wonder if you have an opinion of this. I once read that I think, or maybe it was actually probably a podcast again.
Yeah.
But there's this one neuroscientist, I can't remember her name, but she was explaining how some people have brains that get more easily addicted. So because there's a different reaction in a brain when, like, for example, this person eats sugar or, indulge in alcohol or cigarettes or anything like that. So they'll be much more likely to to get addicted, and that it is kind of genetic as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like if both of your parents are like that, you're more likely to
Yes.
be like that as well. Or like,
Right.
you know, if one parent is like that and you're like that. So for example, my dad is like that and I'm like that.
Okay.
And now my daughter's like that.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I can kind of see I can see,
pattern there.
the pattern there. And my mom, totally not.
Right.
She totally not.
Right.
So
Yeah.
she's never like, she never understands like why,
right.
because I have to be so careful with sugar, and she just doesn't get it. She's like,
Right.
oh, just have a cake. And I'm like, you don't understand. If I
No.
have this cake, I'm going to have another cake like in
Yeah.
an hour, then another cake tomorrow. It's just
Right.
something about, I mean, I don't know, like according to this neuro expert, like how my brain works.
Yeah.
So I feel with technology, it's kind of the same. I feel some people like get addicted like really quickly and can't
Yes.
like let it go. And some
Right.
people, and I don't know, I have no answer at how to protect
I know.
people from that,
Well,
right?
and that's what's so hard. Like you don't know until you try. Right?
And then it's too late.
And then it's late. And so it's, yeah. So it, yeah. Just
Because
like
like,
with
yeah.
anything else, like with food or with technology and stuff, right? Like it's so important to have certain boundaries and to have certain guidelines to follow, and to verbally express, you know, and kind of draw to their attention. Okay, well, how did you feel? I noticed you're on your tablet for an hour there, and then afterwards you seemed a little cranky and stuff. Like, how did you actually feel when you were on your device versus when you had to come off? And then, okay, well, today, you know, we drew for an hour instead. And then how did you feel during that experience versus that? And just being intentional with having those conversations and in our own bodies, in our own selves, even if you're not conversing with a young kid or whatever, just in yourself, just acknowledging that and being more aware, being more conscious of those choices and how they affect you. And then, yeah, just learning where your moderation is and what is okay for you may be different for another person. And that's, there's so many layers to that. Because again, like if your mom is not like that, then, you know, she wouldn't necessarily, I'm not saying she did this, but like you might not necessarily think to put boundaries on something when it doesn't seem necessary to you.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
She's totally like, she's
Yeah.
like, she just doesn't get it. She's keep like
Yeah.
baking me massive cakes every time. And I'm
Right.
like,
It's like, it's
Mom,
so
I can't
sweet,
eat
but
this. I mean, like,
also-
it's really nice, but like, I'm probably not going to be able to eat this. And then like,
Right.
she also expects us to eat the entire cake. Like, so it's like, well, you're
Right.
going to have a piece or two now, but then I'm going to give this to you and you're going to have it in the fridge for another week. And like,
Right.
and I'm like, no.
This is what I
So-
want. I know.
'Cause she thinks it's no big deal, but this is
Yeah.
why I have to be so, you know, diligent with myself, right? And I
Right.
do encourage also students and our faculty and whoever else is
And if-
listening
yeah.
to check in, like, how do I feel? Why do I feel? And also this, this issue you mentioned before, the overdrive.
Yes.
I think a lot of faculty suffers and students too, they're very busy nowadays. Like I must
Sure.
say, this overdrive mode, when you're like, you don't get a rest and every minute has to be like, you know, a peak of efficiency. This is the fastest way to get inefficient.
Right.
And you mentioned this,
Yeah.
you know, from the, what is it? Big Bang
Theory. Yes.
Big Bang Theory. And the best book I read actually was this book called Rest.
Okay.
How to get more done by working less. I can't remember what's the author's name. I'm very bad with names, but
We'll have to look that up.
yeah, if you just Google Rest,
Yeah.
it's very good. And I think it was written for academics and just kind of like convincing them that like being in overdrive, like working all the time is
Yeah.
actually not good.
Right.
You just have to like, you know, put your tasks. I mean, having kids helps with that because
Yeah.
you can't.
You
work
have to, they
after
need
hours.
attention. They need
Yeah.
you have to meet their needs, right? And so then you have to disconnect to do that.
Exactly. But it's still like, then it becomes challenging in a different way because you never
Yeah.
get like actual deep rest yourself, right?
Yes, it's true. It's a phase of
hopefully-
life.
It's a
fine.
phase. Yeah, it's a phase. Exactly.
Waves, it's fine. Yeah, but again, I think that's where it's so important to draw that line. I think in that way where you say like, oh, we do need rest, like don't overdo it. Don't like, yes, but also recognize what rest is beneficial. So again,
Yeah.
like active rest might be more beneficial than sitting on your phone on the couch for an hour. So it's
That shouldn't even count as
No.
rest for me. Like,
I I agree, but
it's so
who knows
draining.
who's
It's
listening.
stressful. Like, yeah.
But yeah, so just becoming more curious about what actually serves your body, what serves you as a person. It might be different. Like, someone else might want to go for a run for an hour. I'm not going to do that. I'll go for a walk. But you know what I mean? Like, but again, like remembering that we're a whole person. We're not just a brain just functioning as a computer. Go, 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 go. We do need ebbs and flows and movement, and we need to take care of our bodies. So, okay, so I need an intellectual break from this. What else can I do physically? What else can I do socially? What else can I do emotionally to serve myself and help boost myself in this moment, or, have rest or have respite from this task so that I can come back to it refreshed. So, yeah, I think
definitely,
it's interesting. And it's such a different process for everyone too, but yeah.
Yeah, but just kind of like more holistic thinking is what we kind of have to transition into. Which brings me to this. Do you think there's a chance, because AI is is basically a very good calculating kind of mechanism, right?
Right.
And it's good for, intellectual tasks, like the writing, the research, the data, right? The just processing of data.
Yeah.
This is what it's good for. Do you think there's a chance that movement and more of embodied learning will become more of a thing because these kind of like data processing tasks will be more automized?
I would hope so.
We hope.
I hope so.
That's
my hope for AI. I think that's like the best use of it, really, is to do, because think of how many hours every person might be sitting at a computer every day or on their phone every day doing these tasks that hopefully eventually can be delegated to AI, so that then you can really do the work. You want to do the physical work, the research, and the other data gathering things that we actually want to do, right? Sometimes we have to know, okay, well, what's the measurement of this in order to do this, and what you really want to do is this other task, but you need this data in order to do that task. So like, I'm hoping that's where AI can be used, is to lessen that so that we can be more physical, we can be more active in doing whatever work it is. So yeah, that's my hope, is that we can use it for that.
Yeah, I would hope that it takes care of all my bureaucracy here at university, so I can finally actually start teaching, so I can actually focus on my job. Because I think with big universities like this, obviously everything is like very bureaucratized, and there's a reason for that, right? Like you need to have basically a trace of everything that's happening, so that you can go and look back at it if need be.
Yeah.
But it is taking a lot of time away from what your job is really supposed to be. So so my hope is we'll see. Depends who's in charge, I guess.
Right. I know. And that's true with all these tools, right? With AI, like depending on what parameters are put on it and not put on it, and how it's introduced into the world and how we use it. Like, yeah, it's somewhat unknown territory, but like things in the past, like through the Industrial Revolution, like there are certain things that we all scratch our head about going, oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but people have adapted and learned and continue to progress. So I have hope for humanity that will continue to do that.
Okay, we need more of you. I kind of started to pay more attention to the fact that things kind of go in cycles. That is not, that like this progress is kind of like spiral.
Yeah.
In a sense that like you need to go again, like you need to go through hardship in order to get to the next level.
Yeah.
It's never going to be like this, like,
completely uphill, amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I have this fun question for you. You're aware of tech entrepreneurs trying to figure out how to live forever. You're aware of that phenomena?
A little bit.
Kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of that? So using AI and other technology to try to prolong your life, like possibly indefinitely. What's your opinion of that? This person who I'm thinking of, actually, who's like kind of most famous for doing this, Brian Johnson. he said that in one of the podcasts I was listening to, he asked the other, I mean, there was like 5 people in the room when in this podcast, and he said, okay, if here's a question for you, if I can tell you that you can live forever and you have like a great life full of health and, you know, the best mind the most updated, the most amazing mind you've ever, you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
All you have to do is follow everything my algorithm tells you, or like everything my AI tells you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do it? Every single person without exception said no.
Yeah, that's me too. I will be in that no party. Hard no.
Why? Why don't you want to live forever, Rebecca?
It's not that I don't want to. I don't know. I think there's certain ways to optimize our health so that we have better longevity and things, right? So that your quality of life is enhanced. I think that's really the root of longevity these days. That's another kind of clickbait word, but like I think really what we want is to have good quality of life until the end. Do I think that our bodies are meant to last forever? No.
Well,
and
what if your consciousness gets downloaded?
Right. No, I've seen an episode on, again, not sponsored by Netflix, but Black Mirror has an episode on this. But
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think anything, it's a hard no for me, because anything that you need to completely submit your free will, your own agency, your own choices to another being or person or entity, hard no. Hard no. Because that's too expensive. That's too high a cost. And you don't necessarily know just how precious that is.
Yeah.
Until it's gone, and then you can't get it back. And that's, and then what if the plan changes? What if they want to do something different with all of our AI bots and things? Nope.
Well, it's the day. That's the problem here.
Yeah.
But I feel like even from like a spiritual perspective, is it like a benefit? Like I worry for a person who's like, I guess their main goal is to like live forever, and their main activity in that forever life is to prolong life more,
Yeah.
So it's
like,
kind
what
of
are we doing? Why?
Yeah. It's like, I feel like people underestimate death.
Right.
In a sense, this is why it's maybe good to bring religion back more into picture, because I feel for someone who maybe is religious, they would be, it depends on the religion, but there's always this component of like post-death, something happens to you, like there's more to experience.
Yes.
And I feel a lot of this ambition, this kind of greediness for the ego I have now has to be preserved at all point.
Right.
Maybe comes from this kind of spirituality, kind of being unplugged from maybe scientific circles for so long.
Yes.
But I think
agree.
it's coming back online, actually.
That's good.
Because
I think that's good.
Yeah, because a lot of scientists are now like figuring out that, especially as we look at mechanisms, even of bodily mechanisms from on a quantum level, like we work very different, like our bodies work very different than any technology we've ever, invented and we can conceive of, right?
Yes.
And they're much more, like I was listening to this podcast with, this time I do remember the name, Federico Fagin. He's an Italian physicist and inventor. I think he invented like first computer chip or something like that. Don't quote me on that.
Nice, but cool. Good job.
Yeah, and he explains this difference between that our bodies, because he's a physicist, right? So he understands, he says that like our bodies are coherent on a quantum level. Computers are not.
Right.
So computer, like, zeros and ones is just an abstraction that we've decided on.
Yes.
And so the idea that the computers can get complex enough to develop their own consciousness is, in his view, baloney, basically. It's
nonsense.
It's not going to happen. But I feel it's also just this idea of like just not understanding our bodies as miracles that they are.
Yes.
this is what we kind of, I feel, have to get back to. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like this is a miracle. We can't just
Right?
let it go. We can't just like download our consciousness. We can't just like forget about, that there might be a spiritual reason.
Yes.
You know,
There's
why.
a bigger picture.
Exactly. That there's
Yeah.
like a bigger picture, and this sort of like to kind of relying everything on technology and everything on like, I mean, it's also like just not relying it on technology in a certain way, and to just like
Sure.
hunt this like, progress into to something, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't
It
know. To me, it's a
feels-
sense of pride. Like it's an overwhelming sense of pride in that, like, I know this, so therefore it must be true. Or this is the only way. Like it's almost a fear of the unknown, where it's like,
Yeah.
well, if I believe that there is nothing more, then I want to keep this going as long as I can. And this is going really well for me. So I want to keep it going, and I want it, how can I make that happen? So to me, it feels selfishly driven and more out of fear of what could possibly be next, and not wanting to accept that there may or may not be anything next, right? Depending on your own beliefs. But I don't know. I'm more of a religious and spiritual person. So I believe that there's more. I think this is just a temporary time, right? And we can't fathom what that means because we have mortal brains. We have mortal bodies that can't conceptualize eternity in the same way. And so who am I to say, no, this is the best part? We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And you can choose to believe whatever you want to believe, but like, what if it's amazing and you're settling for this just because that's
Yeah.
what you can conceptualize? So, yeah.
Well put. So control and fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, fear and control is here definitely. I definitely think a lot of the energy that feeds into developing technology, or like technology going in a certain way, has to do with control. Like,
Yes.
and I feel the only way to kind of escape it is to like really embrace your own responsibility and your own like freedoms, and don't let them go. Don't just submit them for pennies.
Yes. Because again,
Yeah.
like that's why are you submitting your life for this? Like, your life is expansive. It's your own life. Your own perspective is unique from anyone else's. You might even had, if you have siblings or in the same, like you each have a different experience. You each have different ways of thinking. You're unique. Like that's incredible. So why not live your life? Why not just do those things instead of submitting to something lesser than, in my opinion?
Yeah, why settle for less? Exactly.
Yeah.
I think this is like a really good way to end this podcast. Why settle for less?
Mm-hmm.
And why settle for like AI doing your creative work for you when you can do it?
When you can do it.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? That
You
we
can do it
can
better.
do it. Yes. We invented AI. It didn't invent us. So like, who's to say you
Good
can't
point.
make something better than AI like, or improve it further or whatever, right? Like it's a man-made creation, but like we're incredible beings. So like, I don't know, just explore your own potential and take care of yourself, take care of your body, and do the things that will serve you well instead of settling for less.
Amen. Rebecca Lewis, this has been a blast. I love
Thank you
having
so
you on.
much.
Thanks so
Thank you
much
for
for
having
accepting
me.
the invitation and coming. Thank you.
It was wonderful. It was a really fun discussion. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Have fun, everyone. Bye.
Guest on this podcast was Rebecca Lewis. Host was Monika Vrecher. Recording produced by University of Manitoba's Faculty of Arts Media Lab. Editing was done by Ekamjit Singh and Monika Vrecher. This podcast is sponsored by Strategic Initiatives Support Fund and University of Manitoba's Faculty of Arts.